back to 0. Cool. If you're working in a genre like deep house or organic house, these genres usually tend to be very lush. You don't want to have those like uplifting, whoa, the hands up moment, yeah. You want to keep it classy. You want to keep it minimalistic, but at the same time, you want to give the listener a sense of anticipation. Like something's happening. There's a bit of tension. There's something new coming. And there's a few ways to do that. And it's simpler than you think. Now, I've prepared the same synth. I've duplicated it onto 3 different layers. All of these synths are a Korg MS-20V preset, which is a plugin by Arturia based on the Korg MS-20. And I'm using this electric nylon preset on all 3 individual layers. It's just that the MIDI is different and a few of the effects are different, MIDI effects. So let's dive into layer number 1, which is Tension V1. This guy sounds like this. Now, layer number 2, which sounds like this. Again, same preset. Beautiful. And then we got layer number 3, which is a bit more complex. Nice. Has a bit more of a melodic quality to it. All 3 of these layers have 2 functions in essence. Function number 1 is to add melodic variety to the track, to make it feel like there's some melody going on. And function number 2 is to give the listener a sense of anticipation that something's about to happen. We reinforce that sense of something is about to happen using just one parameter of the synth. And all synthesizers, usually all synthesizers that are out there have this, and it's called the cutoff. This, in essence, allows you to open up the synth and introduce higher frequencies to the sound. And higher frequencies always give the sense of anticipation. That's why a lot of the time you hear producers using white noise, because white noise is a sound that covers the entire frequency spectrum, especially the high end. It gives this energy boost. So let's go back to the first layer over here. Let's open up configure and let's click the low pass filter here. The low pass filter is also known as the high cut filter. So it lets the lows pass or it cuts out the highs. It's the same word in essence. So once we hit configure and click this button over here, it should appear down here. So you see if you move it, then you also see it here. And I've also mapped the peak, which is this guy. This is the resonant, which gives it like a very vowely quality. You can see these are tied together. Again, every synth has some kind of a way to modulate or open up the cutoff. It's just placed differently. In the case of the Korg MS-20V, it's up here. So you can close it down, hit configure again. And to do that for all these layers, on Tension V2, you want to do the same. You hit configure, open up the synth, and then you click the low pass, the peak. I've already done that. And for layer number 3, I've done it too. So now you have control over how the sound opens up, how many high frequencies are introduced. Let me give you just a quick example of how it sounds when I play layer number 1, Tension V1, with the rest of the groove. So right now it's all the way down. It's muffled completely. But if I open it up, I'm using my mouse here. Look at what's happening. Just one layer. You can take your time and go back down. It's giving me goosebumps. This is a very classy way of introducing tension without going overboard with risers and sound effects and wah. You keep it chill. Let's do the exact same for layer number 2. So Tension V2. We're gonna incorporate the exact same movement using this arpeggiator layer. By the way, I forgot to mention this earlier on in the video. Tension V1 and Tension V2 are both using the same chord structure, which is an A minor chord consisting of A, C, and E. And this arpeggiator converts it into a sequence of notes using eighth notes. And what's cool about the arpeggiator is that you can set the distance, and in this case, I set it to +7 halftone steps, which is a perfect fifth, and that moves up using the steps knob over here. I know it's a bit complicated, and I think I'll create a separate tutorial on this for the sake of keeping this video short. Just use an arpeggiator, try out different step settings, different distances, and you get a slightly more varied sound. If I were to disable the steps, it would sound like this. it moves up a bit. You see? For the first layer, same thing. A, C, and E. And in this case, I played them in as stabs. Rather than a continuous arpeggio, I have them with the timing offset each time. So I didn't even quantize these. And you can see they're locked to the scale of A minor. There you go. So this would be A minor. Nice. Yeah, let's get back to the point of this video. Let's go to tension layer number 2. So let's do exactly the same with the cutoff. I'll enable just layer number 2 and play with the cutoff, which means I'll open up the sound and close it back down. And I want you to pay attention to how tense it is. Like, how is the tension? Right now, it's all the way down. Now let's open up the cutoff. Oh, yes. There it is. You know what? Let's mess with the peak or the resonance. There's a new essence to it. There's a new character now. Yow, yow, yow. Something's happening. Let's bring it back down. Freaking love it, dude. One element can dictate the way your track is arranged. It can dictate the way it flows. It opens up, it closes back down. Let's finally do that with layer number 3, which is tension V3 here. So I'll disable the rest, enable tension V3. This one's gonna be fun. With the peak. You can go up and down, up and down. Lovely. And if you're feeling like it, you can also enable all 3 of these and open them up in call and response. You can open up phrase A in the beginning, tension V1 here. And open this one later. And this one at the very end. Why not? I personally would go for just one layer to keep it simple and maybe enable another layer in the break to give it a bit more variety. But in essence, you just need one single layer. On my master channel, I have this high-pass filter, which allows just the high frequencies to pass, also known as a low cut. So look what this does with the track. I enable the macro, cutting out all the low end. What does that do? Anticipation. Let's bring it back in. Okay, got the bass, the kick. But suddenly we don't. Anticipation. What if we combine that high pass with the tension synth? Let's take the first layer. No bass, but the synth is coming in. Doubled up anticipation, dude. We're still keeping it classy. Bring back the bass. Awesome. Here's a quick glimpse of my desktop. This is the FaderFox PC4 MIDI controller, which basically is just a few knobs. A few. The cool thing about this is that if you don't want to work with your mouse when it comes to opening up the cutoff and closing it back down, as you can see here on the screen, right? This is the Chord synth, this is the cutoff. You can just use one of these MIDI controllers to map these knobs to the cutoff. So that's exactly what I'm going to do now. So if you want to map something to your controller here, enable live, all you got to do is hit Command M. Then I'll click on tension layer V1 here. This is the cutoff that I want to map. Just the cutoff to keep it simple. I'll then tweak my MIDI controller, tweak this button on the very bottom left, and there we have it mapped. I can do the same for tension layer V2, click on the cutoff, map it to the button next to that. Tension layer V3, click the cutoff, map it to the button next to that. So in essence, all 3 of these are controlling the cutoff. Now let's go to the main channel, click the Highpass filter and map it to the button on the top right corner. So whenever I enable this, all the bass is removed. And whenever I open up these, the cutoff opens or the synth opens. So let's hit Command M again to exit this panel. And now I'm just going to play around and have some fun. And if you want, you can also hit overdub and automation record. So it records on top of your MIDI, which is the plus icon. And the automation record is what records the automation. In this case, the tweaking of the knobs. So make sure the buttons are all set to 0 here. And let's hit record. All right. Let's open up that Chords tab. You see we're already recording automation. Woo! Just tweaking layer 1 here. Let's take away the bass. So this would be like a little build up here. Back to 0. Cool. Then I stop my recording and see what type of automation I like the most. In the ideal case, it's good to have your arrangement already mapped out to, let's say, 6 minutes, and then you record your automation on top of that. But that's a topic for another video. I think this video will get too long. Let me place this a bit further. Thank you so much for watching this video. If you enjoyed, feel free to hit that like and subscribe button. And if you enjoyed these sounds, head on over to LotusTunes.com. I'm currently running a 40% off sale on all sound packs, so now is probably the right time to grab one. I'll see you in the next video. Peace.